In 1945, American forces engaged in a brutal urban battle against Japanese troops in the streets of Manila, the capital of the Philippines. The footage captured from this conflict shows the intense violence that characterized what became known as the Battle of Manila. This battle is considered one of the fiercest of World War II in the Pacific theater, and Manila was ranked alongside Berlin and Warsaw as one of the most devastated capitals during the war, with much of its historical architecture and cultural heritage completely destroyed. On February 3, 1945, American forces entered Manila with the goal of liberating the city. In the northern outskirts, the soldiers were welcomed as heroes. Initially, the Americans expected to capture the city quickly, prompting General Douglas MacArthur to announce the recapture of Manila shortly after the troops arrived on the city's outskirts. MacArthur believed the Japanese would abandon the city, just as he had done years earlier in the face of the Japanese advance. His staff had even begun planning a victory parade, mapping out the parade route and selecting the high-ranking officers who would participate. However, the excitement over the Americans' arrival was short-lived. Japanese commander Iwabuchi Sanji immediately ordered the systematic destruction of the city. Japanese troops set fire to and demolished buildings throughout the area north of the Pasig River. The footage shows Manila residents fleeing the suburban areas engulfed in flames, destroyed by the Japanese on February 10. The Japanese also blew up all the bridges over the river, effectively splitting the city in two. After devastating the northern part of Manila, the Japanese forces retreated to the other side of the river, toward the city center, forcing the Americans to cross the Pasig River and engage in a bloody urban battle. The footage shows American soldiers advancing block by block, facing fierce resistance from the Japanese troops. Initially, MacArthur's plans assumed that the Japanese defenders would evacuate Manila in the face of the advancing American forces. The commander of the 14th Japanese Army, General Tomoyuki Yamashita, had ordered his troops to destroy all bridges and critical infrastructure and retreat when faced with a large American presence. However, Rear Admiral Sanji Iwabuchi of the Imperial Japanese Navy ignored the retreat orders and vowed to fight to the last man. Iwabuchi turned the old walled city of Intramuros into a fortress filled with obstacles and booby traps. Faced with heavy casualties, MacArthur, who had initially banned aerial bombardment in the city, authorized the use of heavy artillery. An infantry officer who participated in the battle reported that the preferred strategy for neutralizing the Japanese forces was to use artillery to destroy the upper floors of buildings before moving in. Another common tactic was to set the buildings on fire. When these approaches failed, American soldiers cleared the buildings floor by floor with rifles. On February 23, during the assault on Intramuros, American forces set a record by firing 10,000 artillery and mortar shells in just 1 hour. Even as the Americans pressed their attack, the cornered Japanese forces carried out the infamous Manila Massacre, in which over 100,000 civilians lost their lives. Among these atrocities was the massacre of 94 Filipino children at the University of Santo Tomas, one of the many horrific crimes committed by the Japanese during the final siege of Manila.